phase is really difficult right now. So,
Ooh, York
the
call out.
Yorick. All right, we're getting ready for. This isn't a Nidalee angle because usually for TheShy anyway, he has been playing more of the Nidalee into Yorick. So either we are going to see the legendary TheShy top lane champion pick, or we're going to be getting something maybe a little bit different.
Yeah. This does what anyone's legend are considering right now is, do we let Naafiri go through?
Yes.
They banned the Rumble.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Will IG let the dog out? That's the big question. Come on.
Let's lock it in. Wonder if AL are looking to even potentially separate the duo of Naafiri and Rise, similar to how the AD side of the bracket has Yone Sejuani. We have Naafiri and Rise. Vi actually, a champion that we didn't even like mentally, I guess, recognize just because we're so used to this champion getting permabanned throughout the series, makes it through into first pick, and now that means probably more comfortable to go for the Naafiri and Rise trade here for anyone's legend. I think this is a pretty interesting trade coming in from IG.
The thing that I'm always a little skeptical about this matchup is it's playable on the Vi side. You have, single target execution. The thing is, if you use your ultimate with a considerable distance away from the Naafiri, all she does is pop W and then boom, the ultimate is canceled. And that does not feel great. However, if you play this like Schwinn did on JDG, you Q flash and you close the distance and make the CC chain super smooth so that Naafiri doesn't have a chance to react with W, and then it's possible. I still don't like it because I feel like it is much easier for Naafiri's side of the matchup to play through, but you can do it if you are the Vi.
Yeah, I think when I look at the way that the Vi matchup, I just personally like Vi for her consistency. She gives you very clear engage. She's always going to be good regardless of what her items are, so we'll see. It seems like IG, though, they're also going to grab themselves the Jace, so already getting some strong lanes getting selected in there. And instead of the Rise, interestingly enough, we're getting Azir for anyone's legend, which, in terms of range and in terms of Shanks champion pool, definitely a very good fit here. But seems like IG are going to try to run them over in the laning phase with having this Ahri and the Jace.
Oh my god, it's Sejuani top!
Well, good luck playing. Good luck playing Jace. Good luck playing Jace. Have fun.
We're cooking, baby. Yeah, IG thought that they banned all the tank answers that Flandre could pick, and they're like, yeah, we don't care if he picks Gragas, right? It's like, but I got a Sejuani top, baby. Oh my goodness, this is awesome. And the fact that Poppy is still available if Kael finds the support matchup super good, it is so hard to actually dive the backline if you are IG. You have to deal with Sejuani, you have to deal with Azir Emperor's Divide. If Poppy gets locked in, I mean, Exodia draft from AL.
Yeah. Could I maybe interest you in the Fury top? Smile? No? Okay. Well, in the back end of this draft, probably going to be a lot of AD carries taken away. Varus and Jhin were something we saw in the last game. Glad to see sad Danny thumbs up. But still, misfortune on the table. Ezreal might be something that IG are looking to take, but would be really strong in the hands of AL, so definitely things to think about. Might even just default to comfort and pick themselves up the Kaisa for hope.
Potentially. IG, the choice is in your hands. Lucian and Renata have been removed so that if anyone's legend get a strong advantage in the first few minutes of the game, now they don't have to deal with any potential response as a counter engage measure. Now, if you're looking at counter engages, you would have to, I imagine, take the Poppy for yourselves if you're IG. Trying to think of other supports that can work well as disengage. I mean, Alistar was not played in the first game, it was banned, so that could be your next best option. But anyone's legend not going to reveal their cards on which support option they're going to look for first. Covering a lot of choices, but I mean, Ezreal makes the most sense. It gives anyone's legend flexibility in saying we don't have to necessarily protect our AD carry. Hope will just fend for himself.
This also means that for AL, they're going to have a lot of range, and then talking about the all-in, it feels like Shanks and Hope will just be able to pepper their opponents at range and then look for their all-in with Flandre and Tarzan later on with the Sejuani and Nefiri combo. So, Invictus, though, we talked about it from the first three. They want to try to leverage the fact that their laners are going to be very strong early game. The push from Jace, the fact that this Ahri early on should have kill threat onto this Azir. That'll be a very big pain point coming in throughout this game. Even with the fact that Sejuani is top, she's going to be more of an immovable wall for Jace, but that still doesn't answer a lot of the questions that we have for IG. And seems like they're going more all in on, let's just try to find a pretty big pick. Let's make sure that we have this misfortune early on alongside the Nautilus.
Now, I know I said that, you know, Poppy would make me feel like this is an Exodia draft. I would not mind if you wanted to guarantee push in this lane to go with something like a Karma with the Ezreal. You get poke and you already have a tank in Flandre's Sejuani, so he can always face check for you. But I'm never going to say no to an Alistar, you know, support. So now anyone's legend have flexible disengage, they have flexible engage. I mean, this composition has got it all. I don't really see necessarily a weak point other than the fact that you're not going to get push against Misfortune and Nautilus, and I think that's the biggest window for IG here.
Yeah, I think I would have liked the Leona a little bit better. It gives them the ability to use the ultimate on the Misfortune, but generally speaking, it seems like they want to be able to be a little bit more disruptive with this Alistar. I think this is fine. So AL, very sturdy front line, building the wall so that they can have their damage dealers attack at range. And in terms of early game, I mean, we'll have to see what this top lane matchup looks like. I think that Sejuani, in theory, should be tanky enough versus Jace, with her passive in particular, and her W just being able to essentially one-shot minion waves. That actually might be difficult for TheShy to get priority early on and find those solo kills. So we'll see how Flandre is able to pilot this. Not his first time playing the Sejuani top this season either. And a lot on the line here. AL on the verge potentially of 2-0ing Invictus Gaming yet again.
You know, it'd be a wonderful way for anyone's legend to at least continue their dominance in Split 2. Remember, this is their first series of Week 5 overall. They have one more series against Top Esports. That's the big one that they're looking forward to and really wanting to challenge themselves. So if they can just put this away 2-0 in the bag, continues to give them confidence and show that they are not a team to mess around with, as both teams getting ready to load up on the Rift. Picks have been locked in. It's time to hit the Rift.
IG fans are going to have to put in an extra shift after this one. It's been tough. It's been tough tonight.
Yeah. I mean, at least the support and the passion is undying. But for IG, the roster themselves, after what Game 1 transpired, they definitely got to step it up and make it a lot more competitive. Taking a look at the keystones. Shanks going with the Grasp of the Undying just so that he's a little tankier. This is more than likely than a Rod of Ages Bruiser build from Shanks. Definitely makes sense, because now that the fact that IG has decent diving threats, if you're able to survive the dive, then yeah, anyone's legend are in a pretty nice spot.
Right. So, we're going to be starting this one off. We are seeing that Flandre is actually helping Tarzan. This is actually really funny because he actually turbocharges the clear using his permafrost.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, some interesting tech. I know that Flandre and Tabe are definitely some chefs, so something that we talked about very early on into the series for the pre-show. So, but junglers are headed down towards the bottom side, or at least pathing down there, and we'll see what exactly AL are going to be able to cook up in this one, just because they obviously have the series lead right now, 1-0, and have a draft that, as the game goes on, I think makes it very, very hard for IG. I just don't see really a way unless they are outright winning at 15 minutes to really get into this one.
Yeah, I think you need to play with reckless abandon come the first fight around Grubs, right? Hopefully Gala and Meiko have a considerable advantage, if not just above even. If they are even with Hope and Kael, and then the Grubs fight does not go their way, or they are not able to find a significant advantage as we get closer to the second Grubs fight, I don't know. Then from IG's side, then your next window is like hoping that Rookie and Jiejie on both of their level 6 spikes are, forcing skirmishes, getting some of their advantages, and then you make repeat visits on those ultimate timers, right? And if that still doesn't work, then yeah, anyone's legend just gets to coast into mid-late game and have a superior front-to-back composition here.
Okay, so for right now, Tarzan is actually a little bit ahead in his clear. He is starting his blue buff now, again, thanks to help as being melee with a Sejuani top lane. And we're already seeing a reset come in from Hope and Kael. Not something that we would have expected from the matchup. They're going to now finally crash this one in. Already an early swap coming through for AL.
Oh, shift in. Mystic shot. Oh, rip.
-1.
Unlucky. Well, at least he has a tier for himself and he can get that thing
-1.
stacking for that more mana. Damn. It's okay. You know what? Those 2 minions, including the cannon, will not be the difference maker.
Ooh, there's also... Oh, man, that's tough. Ooh, TheShy's got to be careful, though. Wave is stuck in front of the enemy turret. Doesn't know exactly where his jungler, or where enemy jungler is. Oh,
immediately
TheShy,
2 stacks of the Permafrost, 1 more auto attack. Oh, he doesn't get a chance to get in range. TheShy is able to punt him away. So, nice attempt from Tarzan, but he's forced to leave now. Don't tell me he's going to make a repeat visit. Okay, he's just going over the pip.
Yeah, he just used his W just to see if he can get a... Because it respawns his dogs, right? So,
Yeah.
Good piece of tech coming in. Hope should be fine. Yeah. Also, didn't land the second part of the Darkened Daggers, so didn't get as much damage onto TheShy. Good job, though. It does mean that IG have now placed a litter. They've absolutely littered this topside jungle with wards. You can see that line of vision going down the river here in favor of IG, as making sure that their bottom lane is very nice and safe, and that they can very quickly walk in whenever they need to. It seems like Rookie has been taking Shanks to task so far in the mid lane, and I wanted to note we are seeing Grasp of the Undying Azir here, something that we got earlier on in the season, but I think if he ends up going like the Rod of Ages build, which I don't think he is going to, but it does mean that Shanks is going to be a little bit harder to kill from the side of IG.
Yeah, it was like I was saying earlier on where Shanks can go for the Bruiser build, and if you cannot burst him with this Electrocute Ahri and Vi combo, then, GG. Shanks is able to, survive and still be able to punt out this damage. Now, anyone's legend top laner Flandre is under fire, but Jiejie not going to be able to close the distance anytime soon. Flandre already popped the TP, so if he actually finishes this base, then he's going to have to take a long walk towards the bottom side of the map here.
I think he's fine with it, though. Thankfully, Sejuani gets to cheat by pressing her Q button. This is a trade of all time. I think this is fine from Gala and Meiko. Good job.
Yeah, Kael forced to tank that dredge line, otherwise Hope would have been in a world of trouble, but he's below 50% HP, has no sustain in terms of pots available for him, whereas Gala has 2 biscuits and a pot. So, massive sustain advantage. Grubs have spawned. Neither jungler has gone for it. Tarzan is already accepting that there's no way that he can compete for Grubs with the advantage that Gala and Meiko have over his own bot lane, so that's why he's trying to go for this dragon. Jiejie just sniffs it out, but he's not going to stop Tarzan. So now Tarzan is kind of delayed on the dragon take, just going for the crab first, before now, with the assistance of Flandre, we'll get this objective trade down.
Well, now they're going to get a million permafrost stacks, so Hope and Kael, they have to play safe. There's no TP from either of the soul laners that are going to help them. They're going to lose out on this wave, and Jiejie now sitting here getting ready. They have all their summoner spells here for anyone's Legends bot lane.
Yeah, good cancel by Gala with the Make It Rain. So now Hope is under fire. Rookie is here first as well. There's no TP available from Shanks or Flandre. Massive 4v2 bot lane dive, but Hope almost trades it on to Gala again. But Kael will fall next, and IG pull off the dive.
And that is such a close fight. That's almost 2 kills going over. Really well played by IG to save that one. And they were able to get multiple summoner spells out of anyone's Legends bottom lane. So pretty decent win for them as they miss out on that wave. Ahri's able to collect. But AL will now be able to surf into 2 separate objectives here, picking themselves up the Dragon as well as the first set of Grubs. Pretty big win in my book if you are anyone's Legend. A worthwhile trade, as it is. We'll see if IG are going to be able to use this gold lead.
Yeah, Tarzan has Smite. Probably just going to walk away if Jiejie actually commits his own Smite for the other one. And with Kael here, going to jump right on top of Meiko. They know that he doesn't have Flash. Yeah, this is a clean kill onto the support of IG, and they'll still get 2 Grubs overall. The fact that Hope did not burn his Flash in the dive, only the barrier, means that he's still safe relatively in this laning phase.
Yep, good job coming in. They're also keeping the Azir matched in mid. Kind of like this for the fact that even though Rookie does not have his ultimate, I think that it is a much better job for AL to make sure that they can keep this Ahri either locked in lane or at least under wraps. She shouldn't be able to find a 2v1 kill, at least in this matchup for now. See that Flandre trying to take a very quick trade with his Permafrost. Gets all the stacks, but is not able to actually use the ability. And with Aftershock, it just means that his all-in is a lot more potent. And well, for AL, gold's still not as even. I think you're kind of looking at that pretty big advantage as TheShy is built himself a pretty massive lead.
Yeah. There are a couple of big boons here for Invictus Gaming so far in this game. CS leads in pretty much every single lane. As we talked about before, IG really need to get this game blitzed on their side. They have to spring before the mid game comes up. If they're able to get decent advantages and then play on those accelerated first item spikes, that's where they can create a huge window into the game and open it up before anyone's Legend starts scaling in their own right.
If AL hit 2 items and they're not down like 3 to 5,000 gold, I'm a bit worried here, because you're going to have an Ezreal with assumably Trinity Force and having finished his tier. You're going to have a Azir on 2 items. Like, that core is really disgusting to play against. Oh no, Hope!
Okay, he has Shift. Probably will be forced to use the Flash over the wall, or at least away from the bullet time. Now there's an Ezreal without Flash that IG can focus.
They're going to give this up. Shanks can teleport to whichever wave. He's going to go bottom lane, recognizing that mid wave is a lot closer to Ezreal once he hits his back. So this is going to turn into an invade coming in for IG.
Oh my goodness,
wow.
Tarzan going on to the Gala, who just used Flash and doesn't have barrier, but Jiejie comes in to save him, and Tarzan could not pop the W in time. Now Shanks is in trouble. Can he get a chance to shift over the wall after throwing out the ultimate? Yes, he is safe for now, but Rookie is continuing the chase, lands the charm. Flandre forced to rejoin with his mid laner and try to protect him. Rookie out of mana. Meiko flying in with the dredge line, might have overextended himself, but they turned their tails and sights onto Jiejie. Hope now back with a vengeance. He's able to get a revenge kill for the side of anyone's Legend.
But that TP is so costly. Not only is it those kills that were going on to Tarzan and to Kael, but also now you gave over multiple plates and another wave to TheShy. So if IG can continue to leverage the fact that they are gaining a gold lead for their top laner, I think you're going to be looking back at this play and saying it's pretty costly. Shy in trouble though.
Okay, he's punted back by Kael. They should have enough movement speed to lock him down with a Pulverize. Even without ultimate, Tarzan should have enough damage to finish off TheShy, but he still has Flash, and he doesn't even need to use it. It's just the movement speed from the acceleration gate to get him out alive.
And he's able to swap in between his forms, so that MS also makes a pretty big difference. Good job from TheShy. Saves his Flash as well. He can just TP to whichever lane. Seems like he's going to probably be matching wherever Tarzan chose. Well, instead, they're actually going to swap up the lanes here. Send the Ahri bottom lane versus the Sejuani. Not as bad. What's up? It is Rod of Ages. We saw this last time, too. He did, in fact, build Rod of Ages Sejuani.
But he's building... Okay, we'll discuss it. Replay. Really clean Q flash from Jiejie.
Yep. And then the flash coming in from Rookie as well, just to make sure that they can guarantee that cleanse, or the charm. I like this. So, most of this play is fine. I think this overextension onto Sejuani, like, Sejuani still has her passive before this play starts, And then she also has Aftershock. She is never dying for this play. So Jiejie ends up giving his life. Jiejie does, in the picture-in-picture, pick up the dragon here, though, for Invictus. All right. Well, what do you want to know about Rod of Ages, Sejuani?
I mean, Flandre is down so much CS. Why are we still committing to a Rod of Ages even though it's not going to be completed relatively soon?
Your champion is already going to scale. And Sejuani gets to cheat a ton of free resistances from her passive. You have Aftershock as well. So, you know, usually you're going to be going in with like a Q and then you're throwing in your ult. Maybe you're proccing the permafrost, that kind of thing. So you're going to have a lot of free resistances for a while. And then the HP that you get from the Rod of Ages is pretty meaningful. And obviously, Sejuani also has some pretty decent AP scaling. So
yeah,
I think there's some tech there.
Yeah, I don't question, I guess, the item choice. I guess when he still had 2 ruby crystals, I didn't know if Flandre felt like, yeah, I'm not getting that much CS this game, and I'm not going to get this completed if I go for it. It's fine. IG don't have it in them to blitz us in the mid-game while my Rod of Ages is stacking. I guess that's
TheShy did just build a 14-minute Rod of Ages on Gwen, so I think we can allow some forgiveness for Flandre on this one.
Sure. Anyway, right. IG taking the second rotation of grubs here. Tarzan is in the river. First one goes over to IG. Tarzan trying to see if he can at least look for a smite steal on one. But meanwhile, Meiko might have been just gifted over to anyone's legend. He's already forced to flash away, but the Glacial Prison right on top of it. But Flandre caught in the bullet time, and Jiejie just sending it onto Shanks. But the Emperor's Divide just pushes them to the right, and now they find an angle on TheShy where he's forced to flash away, but Tarzan just has the call of the pack to ignore any incoming damage. Rookie still has one more charge of the Spirit Rush, but he's going to use it to get out.
That ultimate onto Meiko looked so questionable, but AL play the rest of this fight incredibly. They use a lot of their ultimates barely into their summoner spells, and now TheShy is going to be in a side lane without flash. I know that he has the individual lead, but with Flandre having his ultimate soon, that's a reasonable play in these lanes. I think if AL are going to continue to push on some of these, I'm worried about TheShy potentially giving over a little bit more gold. We get a replay at the start of this fight. Shoving Meiko into the rest of the team is fine. Flash by so much, and this is where it is the best possible spot for Invictus. But I think right here coming in, the fact that Shanks throws his ultimate through, separates the rest of this team. Kael still being alive, by the way, all during this. And Naafiri proving to be incredibly difficult for Ahri to deal with. One of those dogs deserves a raise because it just blocked an entire Ahri charm and it made that play possible for anyone's legend.
Yeah. I've also been a big fan of the shift towards just straight up Shojin rush for Naafiri builds recently instead of going for the Eclipse. Well, Eclipse definitely feels a lot more powerful on the first item. The ability haste is just so valuable for Naafiri, and it's going to even be more valuable once we get to the next patch where Naafiri's W is getting nerfed by an additional 4 seconds, which is very valid. The champion is busted. Don't let, the nerfs from previous patches tell you otherwise. The champion, all the pro players around the world have very well adjusted to the small nerfs that Naafiri has been given, and they're still proving that she is just so disgustingly overpowered. And being able to stack this much ability haste. The only time this champion ever feels potentially weak is like super early game, and most pro teams are able to just bypass that. So yeah.
Naafiri also is just really strong. How do you feel about this Spear of Shojin start? I know it's been kind of overtaking, even though I really think that the Eclipse proccing off of a single Dark End Blade is just such a strong buy.
I mean, like I said, I think Shojin with the ability haste that you get is just so valuable because you get a chance to spam your abilities. It also just makes you super mobile in these fights because now your E at this time is like not quite level rank 5 yet, but I think it's like rank.
He has 3 points. He has 3 points in it. It's a 6-second cooldown. What the hell?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
All right. Well, now, instead of going for the dragon, they're going to set up around this Herald.
Yeah, because even if your flash is down now, as long as you have W and E up, you should never die in a fight. Unless everyone is committed things into you. But Rift Herald started up, as you called out. It's kind of fake. Tarzan and the rest of anyone's legend trying to fight for mid-prio first. Drake is still spawning in the next 15 seconds. We'll see if priorities shift.
We're seeing right now, oh, Hope just used his shift, so that's going to mean that for now, IG get access to the river first. Shanks does have a wave that he can pick up. Flandre is staying back, not only because he knows that he can't really fight the all-in versus Jace, but is also potentially looking for a TP angle into this play, as both of these top laners are going to instead back off, go back to farming some of our camps. Supports are going to take their roams, and alright, cool. Just means that we're going to go back to a bit of a stalemate here with the dragon spawning.
TP? I think it's from Flandre, just answering the wave. Maybe getting aggressive onto TheShy, trying to Arctic Assault past him, but just gets punted away by the hammer form. Rest of IG in the river, contesting vision, and making sure that anyone's legend don't get a chance to just walk into river freely. However, because members are kind of scattered here, Gala and Jiejie are forced to give up position to Kael's Alistar, and now he puts a ward over the pit, and now it's anyone's legend that has a chance to brute force their way back into the river.
Shanks and Rookie will have teleport. It's way easier for Rookie, though. He just throws out 2 spells, and that mini wave is dead, or as good as dead. Jiejie trying to find something. It'll be them, again, just how easy is it for Misfortune to just walk into mid, clear that wave, and then move into Fog of War. We're seeing IG play with it very, very well. And they're going to get continuous mid push as Hope now finishing his back, has a Trinity Force, has Muramana as well. So maybe we see on the back end of this trade, the Dragon go over to IG, but the fight go to AL.
Anyone's legend is going to force a numbers advantage right here by trying to pop TheShy. He doesn't have flash for the next few seconds. IG are just trying to burst down this dragon as soon as possible. They should be able to get it, but now it's just about the retreat path. Gala is safe. He's got Rookie on his top right, so he's not in any danger. And anyone's legend will at least be content that they got a kill on their side.
They might also be able to go for Herald here. You have to imagine, though, you push in mid. They did have to use a fair number of ults for that, with Tarzan and Flandre no longer available. They're going to prioritize getting gold on the map right now. 2 dragons to IG and this bottom lane tier 1. I think you are happy with this trade for now, as AL will have to find another window for them to be able to use this Herald later on in the game.
Definitely makes sense, though, for IG. They're still at the point in the game where the composition is relatively stronger than anyone's legend, as you called out. You know, 2 items have not been fully completed for every single member on AL's team. However, it is 2 items on Shanks. It is 2 items on Hope. They have not completed tier 2 boots yet, but there is still a point where anyone's legend can still, or IG, I should say, should be able to still force these picks. Not in the case for TheShy when he gets collapsed on like this.
All right, so we get into a state of the game now where 2,000 gold in favor of IG. A lot of that is in the back pocket of Gala, who I know we were talking about, but he has really kind of fallen to the wayside, hasn't had quite the resurgence here on this IG roster. I know we saw him on LNG for a little bit at the beginning of his career. Kind of was meh. Obviously, the big spotlight being on those RNG days, and now here for Gala with Meiko, you would assume that this would be a 2v2 that really takes over the league, but right now, maybe he can kind of try to rewrite this against one of the best bottom lanes that the LPL has seen in 2025.
Yeah, and, you know, for what it's worth, there have been a majority of games where IG solo laners, when they have been kind of slumping, Gala is usually the last carry, the last hope on this squad that steps up and is either able to clutch it and at least give IG one of its few wins, or it doesn't happen. And then, you know, there's even more sadness from IG fans collectively worldwide, because Jiejie, unless he's on something like a Lilia, most of the time is not playing champions that can, you know, 1v9 in those kind of situations. But Otacon is up for grabs, still 3.5 minutes away before Baron spawns, 2.5 minutes before the next Dragon spawns, and we're getting to that point where IG need to really push the gas one last time and really try and pry this game open, because a 2,000 gold advantage is not going to cut it against anyone's legend's composition.
They've hit their 2 item power spikes, and it's not like they get any weaker after this. It's not like they are immediately going to fall off from the side of AL. Hope will have access to Spear of Shojin. Shanks, instead of going for the Nashor's Tooth, actually going for a Riftmaker on 2. So that, alongside the Seeker's Arm Guard, got to be feeling very strong in this game if he gets a longer extended team fight.
Yeah.
Good buffer coming in from Hope, but yeah, we're just setting up around mid lane.
Pretty much all summoner spells available on the side of anyone's legend outside of Kael, but, you know, he's happy to take the Hex Flash. Jiejie is in trouble, forced to flash over the wall. That's not good. And IG now is feeling even more weaker when it comes to this next potential objective fight. Neither team is really gunning for the Otacon and forcing in. I think we're just waiting for the third or fourth dragon at this point.
Yeah, Jiejie losing his flash. No one really to secure much. I think that they were maybe a little bit afraid because of the fact that you know, the Jace was positioning around top side. They were getting vision so that they can see if maybe there was going to be this Otacon start from IG. But now without any flash, he's kind of the lone man without this summoner spell. I wonder if AL now coming in. You've got another minute before this. The Rod of Ages is going to be procced here for Flandre. We're going to have also the Unending Despair done as well. So he is very, very tanky right now.
And you know what? You're right. Anyone's legend did get a chance to stall out the game long enough for full 10 stacks on this Rod of Ages for Flandre to come online. I mean, we're pretty much 1 minute away from seeing that completion, but by that time, this dragon will be at least in contest from the side of IG and anyone's legend. And if Jiejie ever goes forward in this fight, it's a one-way trip. There's no flash for him to bail out, so Flandre already going to face check into the river. It's a decent chunk of his health bar taken. Nice shock blast from TheShy on the side. He has TP, so I think he's just going to base and look to join the fight again. IG are burning down this dragon. It puts them at soul point, but anyone's legend going to say, okay, bet. We're going to crash this Rift Herald into Tier 1. Actually doesn't even get the charge off. It's going to go into the Tier 2, and now as long as anyone's legend can hold this choke point, they are going to lose 2 turrets in the mid lane. Kael doing everything he can. This bullet time is going to force them out, but Rookie was chunked by Flandre by himself. That is just crazy that a Sejuani can do that much damage, and they should be able to get one more charge into the inhibitor tower.
Are they going to get 3 turrets here? Oh my god!
Insane.
TP coming in from the Ahri. I mean, she literally just used everything. Sal's ultimate, and as long as she has the Foxfire as well, should be able to reposition.
Looking for Hope. Yeah. He still has an Arcane Shift if he needs it. Yeah, he goes over the wall. Teleport exchanged for pretty much an Ezreal flash there. Shanks is able to skirt over the wall. No chance for Rookie to lock him down. Kael thinking about engaging onto a flashless Jiejie. Not going to pull the trigger here. Glacial Prison not available for Flandre, just waiting for it to come back off cooldown. TP had been expended by both Shanks and Flandre. Dredge line, not going to connect.
Flandre is so close to hitting level 16 though, which doesn't actually change all that much. It does mean that the ultimate from the Sejuani will be 90 seconds instead of 110. That goal difference, it is starting to shrink here with AL trading the soul point here for Invictus Gaming for 3 turrets and not even breaking the inhibitor. Good job from AL to play the map, close this gold gap, as well as give themselves a little bit more time. They're going to be getting their 3rd items a little bit quicker than their opponents, or at least matching them here. And what I really love about this AL composition is they are basically forcing a lot of plays onto IG, saying you are going to have to either take us down in a side lane, play this map really wide, which we haven't seen IG do very well, or you're just going to have to be very lucky and pray that you find and engage. We are hoping that our front line is going to be much better than your ability to actually land any reasonable crowd control onto our carries here. And now, I mean, you're going to be having a potentially fed Ezreal and Azir hit on Otacon or Baron. You have to be, I think, worried as Invictus Gaming.
Yeah. Your only hope for IG is the fact that you burn Flash off of Hope. Because at least when you send it as Jiejie and Rookie, he only can outplay one ability with his Arcane Shift. After that, he's a sitting duck. But anyone's legend has so much disengage in this composition. So if it's just these 2 threats and no one else is able to assist them, or they're not able to catch them in a choke point where they're eating a bullet time on top of the chaos and the pandemonium, yeah, anyone's legend super favored to just win the extended fight through all of the pick snap engages from IG. So you're hoping that you can catch Hope out again on a rotation where he's not grouped up with the rest of the team. Otherwise, anyone's legend win one fight, and then they can just run it down and open mid. Gala could be the target, flashing away from Tarzan. That is just not going to end up well as IG lose out on their misfortune. Big shutdown going over anyone's legend's way, and with Meiko about to fall next, that's Baron time.
It's Baron or it's Otacon. They can pick their choosing here. I mean, you have Spear of Shojin done. You also have the Zonias completed for Shanks, level 16 as well on the Azir. They're going to look towards this Baron, and it is 3 members of IG, TheShy, Jiejie, and Rookie, trying to save this game and purchase themselves some space in the series.
Jiejie has been a hero in these situations, being able to steal the Baron, but anyone's legend starting to turn around, and instead of going for a 50-50, trying to at least burst out another member. It's 2k HP. Jiejie cannot safely get into the pit. It's a Baron secure for anyone's legend.
All right, how much can IG get, though? They have priority on mid. Shanks and Tarzan are back. They're not going to even be able to push on this mid wave. And guess what? There's a dragon spawning in 50, so IG, not even able to fix their waves, are probably going to have to play through bottom lane if they want any chance of being able to pick up a soul here.
This is the one point of contention that IG can actually look for, but is Cloud Soul worth giving over if anyone's legend just want to shove out mid lane all the way into the base as we take a look back at the replay?
This bottom lane from IG, I mean, they've tried to play this game as slowly as possible. Meiko misses the hook onto Tarzan to try to stop him from getting onto Gala. And this was a great trade of summoner spells coming out from multiple members of AL. We get right back into live after those 2 deaths. And mid control going over to anyone's legend, as it looks like IG not even a bother for this dragon.
But anyone's legend are not even pressed to go for the dragon. They have Baron buff on their side. It's an open inhibitor. They're looking at TheShy. He doesn't have flash for the Viper 4, and that's a guaranteed 5 versus 4 for the next 50 seconds.
Do they just go for the end of the game? I mean, Shanks can teleport if he needs them. They can just answer on bottom lane wave afterwards. They're not going to continue. They're going to take the inhibitor, take more gold off of the map, and when they're done with this Baron, then they'll move towards the dragon. Excellent play coming in from AL. I still have to really give it up to their coach, Tabe, one of the most legendary coaches here in the LPL and internationally speaking. He has done such a good job of being able to make this team play incredibly across the map.
Clinical map play from the side of anyone's legend. Almost surgical. And Rookie now has to keep his distance just in case Kael was ready to send it with that Hex Slash combo. Now, anyone's legend pushing with 3 members strong. Tarzan hovering right above them. 2-shot barrage. Not really significant poke onto Gala. He has a Bloodthirster. He'll be able to heal off the minion wave here. I don't think anyone's legend is really going to get any much more value here unless a Pulverize right on top of Rookie. Bullet time isn't really hitting anyone as Hope is taken out of the picture by Jiejie. It was a solo mission and it is not successful. Hope can still fire Mystic Shot safely from the backline as here comes Shanks. He uses the Emperor's Defy and pushes Gala into the wall. No room for escape. Anyone's legend once again find an ace against everyone on IG and they'll sweep the series.
2-0 twice now in the round robin. AL definitively prove that they are better than Invictus Gaming. And they just make this series look so good. I mean, even from the jump here in this game, felt like they did not give any quarter to Invictus. They said, look, we're going to take meaningful losses. Fine, you'll go up in the laning phase as this Jace, but we are not confident that you are going to be able to push us in this game. They trade the Dragon Soul Point so that they can take 3 turrets in mid. They trade the Dragon, and they get the Baron, immediately just to completely destroy Invictus Gaming's base.
This is what we want to see if you are a top team in the LPL. And credit to IG, this second game was not a complete shutout. They actually found some meaningful advantages and skirmishes with their early power that they had drafted into this composition. That river fight towards the beginning of the game was pretty darn good. The Jiejie Q flash opening at least, created some pressure on anyone's legend. But like you said, they were not pressed at all, and were not confident IG gonna being able to at least go the distance and really pry open the game as much as they needed to. We gave our concerns. We pretty much updated timers throughout the first 15-20 minutes where IG had the opportunity to just press the gas, and it just did not happen enough.
And that will mean that, at least for the time being, this does turn into, for the LPL, does mean that Anyone's Legends move up to 9-2, so still trying to, 8-2, I should say. So they're still behind TES, and that'll be their next matchup, playing up against top dogs here. In recent memory, TES has actually gotten the better of AL. You know, we started off 2025 with AL finding a lot of series victories versus top esports, but they're starting to battle back, and it's becoming, I think, the rivalry of LPL for 2025.
And it's an exciting one to watch so far. Every single best of 5, every single series, if it's a best of 3, has pretty much delivered and either gone the full distance, if not more than, you know, a sweep. We've not had a single sweep between any of these guys, if I am not mistaken, because even in their opening series in the first week of the second split was a 2-1 victory over Top Esports, so Anyone's Legend was able to find one game win over them, so they know that Top Esports are not completely immortal. And if, you know, knowing the series they just played against FPX earlier today, if FPX could be competitive with them, Anyone's Legend should remain confident. They have what it takes to still get a win over them. But that is going to be a story for Sunday's series, as we are wrapping up this series, where I'm gonna quote you from game 1, Alk. I don't think there's much to talk about other than, you know, IG didn't press the gas fast enough.
No, I really loved how AL played that. I cannot give enough credit to the coaching staff for this team. Just such a long-term project. When you look at Anyone's Legends for years, we didn't get to really talk about this during game 1, but for multiple years now, AL have been kind of a bottom-level team, a bottom-level club in the LPL. 2023, they have this really exciting roster where they have Croco in the jungle. They kind of have been moving around pieces. They take over developmental pieces from WE with Shanks, and they also are able to get Hope and Kael. The fact that then they actually make a pretty deep run once they bring in Tabe. They bring Ala in summer split of last year and actually make a pretty deep run in playoffs. I think that they've kind of started to pay off on some of those dividends, and I think the fact that now that they've brought in this top jungle, there is so much more that this Anyone's Legend roster can do, and we're seeing that reflected already in the standings and so far their progress in 2025.
It's just so awesome to see players like Shanks, Hope, and Kael now really evolve and come into their own, being able to contest for top 3, if not top 1 in their spot, or in their role, I should say, across the entire league, because that definitely wasn't the conversation last year, even if they were, you know, not completely bottom of the table, but the evolution has been so good, man. The growth has been so awesome to see. I still remember, you know, when I first heard of Hope, and I wasn't, you know, an LPL watcher back then when he was on JDG, and I particularly wasn't necessarily impressed, right? You know, I just thought, okay, cool, but is he Ruler? Is he Jackie Love? Is he Gala? No? Okay, then, you know, whatever. But now, this split has just been so impressive to watch from him. He didn't necessarily have to do much this game. He was under fire a lot of the time from IG's roster, but I think it makes sense because, surprisingly enough, he was the least tanky member on this team since Shanks went full-on grasp and Rod of Age's Riftmaker. If you're sending it as a Vi onto Azir at that point in the game, you've already lost the fight, so you might as well just try to pressure the Ezreal. And in the last skirmish we saw when they were pushed into the bottom tier 3 tower, he tried, and then it was too late.
Yeah. Shanks did have he had a lot of HP, right? He just had the grasp, like you were saying. He has the Riftmaker and the Leandries, so did fine for himself. Hope, he has a pretty long pedigree. Was originally on EDG for a while, and then I think his biggest claim to fame was making Worlds semifinals with JDG in Worlds 2022. I will never, ever forgive Yagal what he did to that team. Losing in semifinals to T1, that team should have won that year. There's no reason 2022 was the year that I had to... Whatever, man. Yeah, so I think that Hope, He's had, ever since that JDG year, he's just been kind of on middling rosters and hasn't really been able to live up to those expectations until now. And I think it's very exciting. A lot of culmination of different stories here for Anyone's Legend. As I want to, real quick before we end the series, take a small note on IG. This felt like a little bit more of the same, where I think in particular Rookie has a game where he's a bit quiet. I think that even when TheShy gains his own individual advantages, he's not particularly adept, nor is the team really handled to be able to leverage those. So that's something that they're going to have to kind of look forwards to, and I wonder how they're going to be able to fix as this season goes on.
Yeah, because there's that one time where Flandre TPs to the bottom side of the map just to assist in the river fight, and Shy gets a full turret to himself. He has a significant gold advantage now for the next few minutes into the Sejuani, and IG don't really do anything to leverage that at all. In fact, the next time that they fight on bottom river, AL collapse on him first. He's forced out, and yeah, it's when we see top teams get leads like that. I mean, we've even seen BLG before the collapse that they're experiencing right now in this year, like get a lead like that on Jace, and the immediate payoff is so visible. It is so clear. Insanely afterwards, the Jace just starts running amok on side lane, and now you have to send, 2 people, if not 3 people, to actually pressure him out of the lane, and that just gives the entire map over on the cross side to the team. Did that happen this game? No. Flandre did not give a shit if TheShy was, noticeably ahead on the Jace. He's like, I got a rod stacking on my Sejuani.
I'm telling you, man, he knows he's scaling. He knows.
Yeah. He was not pressed at all. MVP. Oh, cool. Yeah, I can.
Kael played this game fine. Probably would have given it to. Honestly, I don't know who I would have given it to. This is another game where it kind of doesn't really feel like we have like a very clear-cut answer. And like we said, Kael has been like a top 3 in his role. So
yeah, it's just more ammo for Kael to get all pro votes toward the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think really the only support that he's fighting the #1 spot for is Crisp. I think every other support in the league has just been too inconsistent to make it feel like they deserve getting #1 over either of those two, right? Because even when you look at JDG, who is our #3 team, which we'll get a chance to see the updated standings now, and we'll continue this conversation. Missing has felt too inconsistent for me to be like, yeah, he deserves #1 nod. Weibo Gaming, I know they have a new support in Urha, and limited tape tells me he has been worth the substitution over Hong.
Yes,
but
yes, he is very good. He is very good.
So, but I want to, obviously see more tape.